The last cigar. The rain had been falling over Chicago all night. The kind of rain that glossed the streets and made the neon signs ripple in puddles. Inside Il Rosso Vino, a dim-lit Italian restaurant with a hidden back room, the heads of the Moretti crime family gathered. At the center sat Vincenzo Vince Moretti, the Don himself, a man in his late 60s with silver hair slicked back like polished steel. His empire stretched from the docks to the casinos, from smuggled liquor to high-class clubs. But lately, cracks had begun to show. Rivals were circling. Cops were sniffing too close. And within his own house, whispers spread of betrayal. Vince lit a thick Cuban cigar, the smoke curling above his head. "We got a rat," he said calmly, his voice carrying the weight of a verdict, and rats only leave one way in a coffin. The shadow suspect rumors pointed toward Marco De Luca, Vince's right-hand man for 20 years. Marco was loyal, or so everyone thought, but someone had tipped off the feds about a heroin shipment last week, and the only men who knew the details were sitting in that room. Marco's jaw tightened as the eyes of his brothers turned toward him. "Boss," he said, voice low but steady. "If I was a rat, I'd already be in witness protection, not sitting here." The Don blew smoke slowly, studying him. "Maybe. Or maybe you're cocky enough to think you can play both sides." Silence. Only the clink of rain against the window. The assassin's dilemma. That night, Anthony Romano, Vince's enforcer, was given an unspoken task. He'd grown up under Vince's wing, a street kid turned soldier, then killer. Vince trusted him with jobs that needed silence and finality. Now Vince wanted Anthony to take care of Marco. Anthony accepted the order, but inside, doubt gnawed at him. Marco wasn't just another soldier, he was like an uncle. The man who had taught him how to load a gun, how to keep your cool when cops pounded on the door. Still, in the mafia, doubt was dangerous. Orders weren't questioned, a night of truth. Anthony arranged to meet Marco at an abandoned warehouse by the river. The place smelled of rust, gasoline, and wet concrete. Marco arrived, his leather coat dripping from the rain. "So it's true," Marco said quietly. "The boss thinks I'm the rat." Anthony pulled out his revolver but kept it low. His voice was steady, though his hands weren't. "He gave me no choice." Marco raised his hand slowly. "Listen, kid. I didn't sell out the family. It was Salvatore. He's been cutting deals with the Rossi clan for months. He fed the feds that shipment to make me look guilty." Anthony's stomach knotted. Salvatore Vince's nephew had always been ambitious, too ambitious, but accusing him was suicide unless there was proof. "Why would he do that?" Anthony asked. Marco's eyes hardened. "Because when Vince goes down, Salvatore wants the throne. He wants the Moretti Empire, and he doesn't care how much blood it takes." The twist. Anthony lowered the gun slightly. Marco reached into his coat slowly, carefully, and pulled out a manila envelope. Inside were photos, bank records, even taped phone calls. Enough to bury Salvatore 10 times over. "You give this to the Don," Marco said. "You'll see who the real traitor is." Anthony hesitated, but before he could decide, headlights cut across the warehouse walls. Black cars screeched to a stop. Out stepped Salvatore himself, flanked by half a dozen armed soldiers. "You made it easy for me, Tony," Salvatore sneered. "Two birds with one bullet." Gunfire erupted. Bullets cracked the concrete, sparks flying as they struck metal beams. Anthony dragged Marco behind cover and returned fire, his revolver spitting flame in the darkness. One by one, Salvatore's men dropped, but not before Marco took a bullet to the chest, the last cigar. When the smoke cleared, Salvatore lay bleeding on the ground, Anthony's final shot between his eyes. Marco, coughing blood, shoved the envelope into Anthony's hand. "Don't let Vince die thinking I was a rat," Marco whispered. Then his eyes dimmed, and the rain outside drowned the silence. Later that night, Anthony returned to Il Rosso Vino. Vince sat at the head of the empty dining room, cigar burning low. Anthony placed the blood-stained envelope on the table. The Don's eyes scanned the evidence. His hands trembled for the first time Anthony had ever seen. "Salvatore," he muttered, grief and rage mixing in his voice. Anthony lit a match for Vince's cigar. The old man puffed once, staring into the smoke. Then he looked at Anthony, not as an enforcer, but as a son. "You've done what no one else could," Vince said quietly. "From this night on, you're my most trusted." But Anthony didn't smile. He thought of Marco, of loyalty buried under rain and bullets. In the Mafia, truth came too late, and justice always tasted like ashes.